Hi there, Laurel. Welcome to another video here with my Simply Card Making video series here. Today I'm going to be making this card using some stamps by the ton, and also all that color is from the Design Memory Craft Faber-Castell Gelatos. I love them. Calorie free, calorie free. So anytime I use gelatos, I always prep my surface without fail with gesso. This time I decided to apply the gesso down with a palette knife to avoid any brush strokes, but in essence I really don't think it matters. Anytime I put gesso down, I just make sure I get a smooth, even application, and it dries completely smooth. And gesso takes very little time to dry, maybe 5-10 minutes. You can also zap it with your heat tool. Now these flowers are from the Wild Peonies stamp set by a stamp company called The Ton. I'm kind of putting them out onto my card. I have also put my card down on a piece of hardy board and secured it with some masking tape so my card doesn't move around when I go and apply the gelatos in the water. I am also going to grab a sentiment called from Thanks a Bunch, from the Thanks a Bunch stamp set. So I'm kind of laying everything out, as you can see, to get a better feel of how I want this card to look. So that's why I kind of do it this way. I'm trying to figure out, there's so many different options and builders that you can build with the stamps that it took me a minute to figure out that I want to write out Thanks a Bunch with the stamps. So I'm kind of lining that up there just a little bit. I'm going to stamp that sentiment there with some VersaFine Onyx Black ink, which is a pigment ink, because I'm going to do some heat embossing. That's just some clear embossing powder. And the reason I'm doing this embossed sentiment here is because we're going to be adding gelatos and water over the top, and I want that image to remain nice and crisp and black. So that heat embossing kind of resists anything we put over that. So now it's time to figure out the arrangement of the flowers again. Again, I put the flowers down at the beginning of the card so I could figure out where I wanted my sentiment to be. And now that I've got that sentiment stamped, I can go ahead and arrange those flowers how I want them. So I'm going to pick them up with an acrylic block, and then I'm going to ink those up again with that same VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is my absolute favorite pigment ink just on the face of the planet, because look at the crisp black lines that you get by stamping with this pigment ink. But again, because it's a pigment ink, it stays wet longer, so I can sprinkle on this embossing powder and heat set it. And it avoids me having to use Versamark and black embossing powder. So I just love doing this. Again, I'm heat setting all these images because I want the outlines of these images to remain bold and black. So now I've got a couple of different colored gelatos here. I've got a red one that's cherry, a purple, that's from the metallic line, and then that pink is bubble gum. And I am just putting as you can see, I am just scribbling it on the top of my cardstock here, putting on very, very thick, just scribbling, scribbling, scribbling. And that is a Mr. bottle filled with water, and I am just totally spraying the mess out of this thing. I adhered this down to my hardy board so I can pick it up and move it around. I wanted to get these like drip looks. So now I'm going on the bottom and put that purple down on the bottom, and I'm just spraying the mess out of it, moving it all over the place. Probably getting sick watching me, but I'm going to continue to do this. I'm going to continue to add water. I'm going to continue to rotate my board up and down, left and right, and just move all of that color around until I get the look that I want. I just think this is so cool, and you can just continue to add color. Again, I've added in some pink there. I'm just going to keep doing it until I'm satisfied with how it looks. I just love this. And I am working off of watercolored cardstock. I don't know if I pointed that out or not, but I think that if you do this technique, you need to use the watercolored cardstock because it's built to hold and be able to retain this much water without the water pilling all over the place. Now I'm doing a little finger painting, as you can see. I'm going in and blending out some more of those colors. I'm adding some of the red to the center of the flowers, and I'm blending it out with my finger. That watercolored cardstock has pools and pools of water all over it. It looks like a big hot mess, but when it dries, it's so pretty. I just love it. And the thing for me with watercoloring is kind of the messy it looks, and if it looks like really bad as you're putting it down, it always dries so pretty. So that's the key. If it looks like a hot mess, it's going to be beautiful. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. So again, I'm going in with my finger and just blending it all around. You can just have a lot of fun with this. And then I was like, I took my hands and I went, I'm done. Stop messing with it. So I set that aside and I let it dry naturally. And I'm adhering that to a standard top folding card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And look at that, isn't that pretty? Just adding some gelatos and a lot of water, and I just kept moving the paper around to get all those drip marks, did a little finger painting, just had a lot of fun. Now I'm taking some gesso and I'm just swiping in a little bit of color here and there just to finish everything off. And gesso is also a good way to tone down some color. If you've got a really intense color that you just want to tone down a little bit, add a little gesso over the top of it. And here's a close-up. I just think this turned out really cool and really pretty. Great stamps, gelatos. It's just a golden situation there. So for another card I made using gelatos and some glass bitter bead gel, it's hard for me to say, you can click right there on that picture. And then I actually have an entire playlist dedicated to gelatos. So if you click right there on that picture, it'll take you to that playlist with a lot of other video options. And finally, if you haven't subscribed, if you click down there on that click here to subscribe button, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, and I just love to have you. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I will catch you next time.